You're listening to the Basketball Lab podcast with your hosts Mark Shannon, Mark Clark, and Marco Corona. They'll discuss all the top news and stories from around the basketball world while giving their opinion and insight. Now, here are your hosts.
Welcome back to another episode of the Basketball Lab podcast. I'm your host, Mark Shannon, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Mark Clark and Marco Corona. The basketball, the playoffs are in full swing. For most teams, we're 2 games in for some teams here. But so far, it's been pretty exciting. We have a lot of news to talk about, I think. I guess, like the biggest news that we had, especially from yesterday, was the Lakers versus the Blazers. I want to get your guys' input and what you guys think. Are the Lakers in trouble?
I'll start. No, not yet. I think that there's going to have to be some adjustments with the Lakers made. It's funny because there was points in that during that game with the Lakers and Blazers that I thought the Lakers were going to impose their will on the Blazers, and it didn't happen. It did not happen, and got to give credit to the Portland Trail Blazers. They also made adjustments. They brought in Hassan Whiteside and Nurkic, right? So they also went, I like to call it we all call it the jumbo lineup to counter with what the Lakers were doing. I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit disappointed in Anthony Davis's play. I thought for a guy who is an all-star and elite player, he was kind of sluggish. The first half was really good, and the second half, well, there wasn't one. And you look at his numbers, I think he was 0 for 5 from downtown. Listen, a guy from that skill and that size, you got to impose your role inside, man. They can't guard you. They cannot guard you. And if you guys noticed last night when you're watching the game, I don't know if you saw this or not, but all his shots from downtown, and I bet you I am 90% correct on this, were wide open threes. You know why? Because they're going to just let him shoot the three. Go ahead. Stand out there, 7 foot guy, like just shoot the three. Why are you inside, man? Like they can't guard you. You're one of the best big men in the league. You're jacking threes. Man, if you're not making them, stop. And I know 0 for 5 doesn't seem like a lot, but that's 5 possessions. That is 5 possessions, right? Even if he goes inside and he goes, 3 of 5, you're looking at the dynamics of that game being different. Nobody shot well. Your boy, Danny Green, was... I'm not even going to get into that. That's way too easy to pick up. I just thought it was a sluggish game. They looked sleepy. They looked like they were off for 2 weeks. But there's time. There shouldn't be panic yet. I don't think the Blazers were that great, but I think the Lakers made them look really good.
Speaking of Danny Green, we gotta be nice to Danny Green, because we might the Raptors might need him to come through clutch.
Why you gotta be like that, man? Why you gotta be like that?
In the finals and miss all his shots like last night. But I mean, speaking of threes, the Lakers they shot 32 threes. They only made 5. Danny Green only made 2 threes. Like, you're not gonna win a series shooting 5 of 32.
But why is a team that big shooting that many threes when you're not making them? Like, go inside out. They're going outside. Like, it doesn't even make any sense to me right now. Again, it's only game 1, so I'm not going to overreact. If I'm a Lakers fan, depending on how old of a Lakers fan you are, you shouldn't overreact to this. I just didn't think that game was, it didn't make any sense to me. I was scratching my head a lot of the times because the talent is there, right? And I'm not dismissing the Portland Trail Blazers, but what are you guys doing? What's the plan here?
To your point about them going in the paint, give them credit. They outscored the Blazers 52-28 paint points.
Right. So keep going there.
Yeah. So most of their points was in the paint. I mean, if I'm a Laker fan, I wouldn't be too worried. It's just one game. They only lost by 7. But Danny Green needs to step up and make shots. Kyle Kuzma needs to step up and play a better game and make shots. They need some help. And the funny part of it is the Raptors have the one player that could help them, and that's Fred VanVleet, Steady Freddy. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Lakers is the first team to reach out to Steady in the offseason.
I don't know if they have the cap space, but I mean, they were trying to get a shooter, and to your point, Mark, they, one of the things that you said, which is the Achilles heel of the Lakers, was shooting. And clearly last night by the stats, you saw that the shooting was just awful. Their offense is struggling. Defensively, they were not bad at all, right? But it wasn't enough.
No, I mean, and for me to jump in there, I agree with you. I mean, do they have enough time to have this happen another time? Like where they can't shoot the ball. I mean, a team that's as good as they are, shooting 34 for 97 from the field, 5 for 32 from the three-point line, that's kind of horrific. But it goes in line with how their offense has been playing during the bubble restart. They haven't been, that good of a team out there on offensively. Like I said on our preview show, you put into they fell out of the top 10 in terms of offensive rating. They were dead last during the bubble, so it's not like this is something that's been it's something new that just happened. It's not a cold stretch where they just missed shots the first game. It's something that has been an ongoing problem since the beginning of the bubble. Should the Lakers fans be worried? No. If they lose 2 games straight, if I'm the Lakers fans, yeah, I'm a little bit worried if they lose 2 straight, because that's not something you want to be doing against Dame Lillard, is playing down 2-0.
If the Lakers make the Blazers go 2-0, go 2 games up on them, it's gonna be problems. It's gonna be a shorter season than we expected. Probably Blazers in 5 if the Lakers really make they go win 2 games without winning 1.
You know what? I'm going to switch it up a little bit here and continue talking about the Lakers, but switch it up in as far as the focus here. And the one thing that I would listen, LeBron James had 15 assists last night, right? He was trying to get everybody involved, right? And I'm going to make a wrestling reference for anybody who watches wrestling and is listening to and watching this podcast. LeBron James needs to go back to being a heel character. And what that means is being that guy who just people don't like. He's mean, he's aggressive, he just tears, what up. Right now, he's babyface. What that means is he's a nice guy. He's trying to get everybody else involved, which is fine, right? But impose your will. You're LeBron James, man. Just get it done. Just get it done. Now, it's easier said than done. I can sit here, a couch potato guy, and just say, just go to the basket and this and that. You got to give Portland some credit for, doing what they did last night. But I think that if LeBron James, forget the numbers. To me, it's about just being that guy that nobody likes. Like, oh, that's nasty, right? Ooh, it's a wrap. And there was flashes during that game. There was a play that he did, like a spinorama inside the basket and whatnot. It was sick. That was like, ooh, that was nasty. That's the guy who needs to be leading that team. And Anthony Davis needs to be, right there, second, if not first. Guys, I'm telling you, Anthony Davis needs to be better. And I got to give credit to Shaq last night in TNT and the boys watching that. And he's said this for years. If you're averaging 25 points a game during the regular season, you got to bring it up another 6, 8 points.
Yeah.
Right? He can't be that's just the way it is. Whatever you do in the regular season has got to be at least 15, 20% higher. He's got to be great. And because the Lakers are clearly lacking that offense for now, these 2 guys just need to be nasty and dirty. I'm just curious to know how long until we see Dion Waiters start or Kuzma. right?
So,
Kuzma, man, and again, I'm going to make another reference for those hockey guys, and shout out to my boy Luca from Woodbridge. He told me he's like the Kovalev of the NBA. That guy can score 30 points any given night. Sometimes he just flakes out, right? So listen, you just got to get. There's going to be some adjustments, and I expect a different Lakers team. If not, we're going to have a sort of a different conversation the next time we meet up and record this podcast.
yeah, for sure. I expect adjustments to be made, of course. It probably will be a different game the next time they play. You're saying LeBron needs to be that guy and take over, be mean, but I mean he's 35. Does he really have that left in him? Maybe
Figure it
he
out.
does.
Of course he does.
Maybe he does. But I mean, yeah, the term playoffs mode is a real thing, and I think Lakers are still in regular season mode right now.
Maybe.
They got to step up.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And when you talk about a LeBron, like, yeah, you say he's 35 years old, but he had 41 minutes last night, 23 points, 17 rebounds, 16 assists. I mean, he was the only guy that was really performing at a consistent level. I mean, he did shoot 9 for 20, but he wasn't shooting like Anthony Davis there at 8 for 24 from the field. Yeah, he had 28 points, but he went to the line 17 times. Anthony Davis. So if he's not hitting from the field, and he's just relying on his free throw attempts, then you're mostly relying on LeBron to do the dirty work. Contavious Caldwell-Pope, like, buddy, what are you doing?
I was
Like,
just going to mention him too.
29 minutes.
1 point.
29 minutes. You were 1-1-1 across the board.
Yeah.
That's good for hockey stats. This is not hockey. It's
triple
basketball.
single.
Like, come on.
Two hockey references in this show.
Literally, like, people. And then I was on Twitter, and you see Lakers Nation getting on Alex Caruso and blah blah blah. The man played wonderful defense. Yeah, he was 1 for 6, but he was probably the best defender out there for the Lakers last night.
His defense versus Dame, like it's an unfair match.
Yeah.
Right. Like Alex Caruso is going to give you the effort. Right, but you're talking about going up against one of the top 5 guards in the league in Dame Lillard. So I'm sorry, don't beat up on poor Alex Caruso because he's trying.
Yeah,
because the fact of the matter is he shouldn't be on Dame Lillard.
Yeah. And the plus and minus, he's plus 12. So obviously he's doing something positive when he's on the floor. But I mean, we've talked about LeBron, we've talked about AD. But you're right, Mark. The supporting cast around them needs to step up. They really do need, if they want to win that series or even make it to the finals, not even make it to the final. If they want to make second round, the supporting cast has to step up. And that includes Danny Green. That includes Caruso still got to step up. Howard got to step up. The KCP got to step up. They all got to step up. They got to do good in the defense, and they got to make buckets.
Here's the thing. I don't think, Mark, and sorry to cut you off, Shannon. I don't think that the Trailblazers right now, as we sit here and record this, have any sort of intimidation. Feel like they don't feel intimidated by the Lakers right now. No. Basketball is a non-contact sport, blah, 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 and all that jazz. But there has to be something that turns that makes a seed of doubt. Right. And if you live here in the GTA in Toronto and you've seen the Raptors from the past, there was always that seed of doubt. There's like, can we actually do this? Because there's moments in the game you're like, oh, here we go again. There wasn't a here we go moment last night. I thought, to your point, that the Lakers were very passive. They were very like, yeah, we'll get in it because we have 2 of the top, 10 players in the world on our team. But I thought that, they just could not get it going. I still have confidence as a non-Lakers fan that they're going to get it done. However, again, it's got to be sooner than later, and we're going to find out a lot in the first 8 minutes of the first quarter of Game 2. Setting the tone of what's going to happen, and I can guarantee that LeBron James is going to be a different guy. He has to be. And AD, and I'm sure those 2 guys had a talk over a couple of beverages in the Magic Kingdom, it's time to go. It's time to go. And then let Danny Green and do whatever he wants.
Speaking of LeBron, I got to give it to him for a little bit here, because I think less than 2 minutes on the clock, they were down 2. LeBron has 2, got fouled. He's at the line shooting 2, and he missed both free throws. Then there were, I think, within a minute left to play, he got a 3, wide open 3, and he missed it. Now, being a top 5 player, you got to be making these clutch free throws, and you got to be making these clutch threes wide open. You're getting wide open looks. Come on, you just got to make those buckets.
Agreed.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that one too. I think that's those are key free throws that you want your superstar taking down the stretch. Your free throw guy, the guy that's going to close it out in the fourth quarter for you. That's who you want taking the free throws. If LeBron gets that chance again, he ain't missing those free throws. I can guarantee you that, though.
Well, I hope he doesn't.
Yeah, because then they'll be down 2-0.
Sounds like you have money on the game.
Yeah, right? I know. But sticking with LeBron, but going into something that came out today of, like, Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce,
God.
maybe stuck his foot in his mouth a little bit there. But
why are we giving Paul Pierce time on this show?
We're not giving him time. We're just, bringing him up.
He actually gave us
time to talk, something to talk about by him putting his foot in his mouth there. But saying that that if the Lakers don't win or make it past the first round, it does his legacy, like LeBron's legacy, he doesn't get considered a GOAT at that point. Do you guys agree with that?
I mean, let me start here. Let me start. I don't know why are we still discussing the GOAT? Why is the GOAT still coming up in conversations? The GOAT stops at Michael Jordan, and it ends there. Maybe we should be having a top 5 discussion, but not a GOAT. And I agree with Paul Pierce. LeBron, I don't consider LeBron to be the GOAT or even in that conversation. If we're having a GOAT conversation, it's going to be between MJ and Kobe. That's where it stops. But a top 5 conversation, yes. I even if he doesn't win another championship before he retires, he deserves to be in the top 5 discussion. I mean, you only got to give him that respect. He's done so much, but we need to cut out this GOAT conversation. It ends at MJ. If we're having a discussion between 2 players, it's MJ and Kobe. What do you say, Marco?
This gives me an ulcer. I'm just going to ask the question. Why does Paul Pierce hate LeBron? Like, what's the beef? Like, 1 year he's on his case, 1 year he's off his case. What's his problem? Like, does he not have anything better to do? Like,
probably not.
It's okay to disagree on GOATs and non-GOATs and sheep and all this BS, right? But to go out of his way to say, well, if he doesn't get out of the first round, he's not shut up. Like, honestly, shut up. Like, nobody asked you, nobody cares. No, honestly, like, stop wasting ABC. Like, was this on ESPN or ABC, whatever the heck? Like, stop. Like, why are you on TV talking smack? How many rings does Paul Pierce have? Okay, so, like, he's always talking about how great he is and he has all these records, and apparently he invented the step back jumper before James Harden did. Like, really, like, to me, it's petty. He's better than that. Paul Pierce is better than that. That's the funny part. He was a very good player. He had a great career on very good teams, and he hit a lot of clutch shots. Just leave it at that. Let LeBron do his thing. Listen, I am one of the biggest LeBron haters on planet Earth. I am. And the fact that I have to go out and defend him makes me sick to my stomach, because this jackass of Paul Pierce had to go out and say something that nobody gives a crap about. So he needs to stop it. Like, it's not an educated discussion. in my opinion, for a guy who's an NBA borderline Hall of Famer, which is a whole other conversation. I don't think he is, but whatever. Anyways, now I'm just now I'm channeling my inner Paul Pierce because
he only has one ring, by the way.
Okay, so then don't talk. Like, really, you're gonna stop? Honestly, I don't even know what the question was. All I heard is Paul Pierce, and I saw red.
The question was, if LeBron and the Lakers go out in either the first round, second round?
The answer is no. The answer, it doesn't matter what he does in this particular. It doesn't matter because his legacy is already set. All he's doing is just adding to what he already has set. Yes, I know. Trust me. 3-6 in the finals, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, he played in the East. Blah blah blah. Trust me. The Toronto Raptors franchise contributed to a few of those W's and whatever the case is, but to blatantly deny the fact that this guy is one of the greats that we've seen in this generation, and I don't know if that's what he was trying to get at or not, is simply ignorant, and it's coming across like very, very much jealousy.
Yeah, I agree. LeBron is one of the greats. For me, and this is just me speaking personally, he's not the GOAT, but he's definitely top 5 and one of the greats.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, for myself, I've always had conversations with other people and debates about this. Who is the GOAT? Is it MJ, Kobe, LeBron? I've always said no. Michael Jordan is the GOAT. He is still going to be the GOAT for me, but I don't think that LeBron is that far off from being the greatest player of all time. I mean, yeah, championships. He doesn't have as many championships, but is championships the be-all, end-all? Because if that's the case, Derek Fisher is one of the greatest players of all time. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, championships isn't the be-all, end-all when it comes to being the greatest of all time. You're talking about LeBron. He's got the most points in NBA history. He's got the 3rd most assists in NBA history, 6th most rebounds in NBA history. He's got three titles. He's 3 times finals most valuable player, 4 times most valuable player in the regular season, 16-time All-Star.
On and on.
You know, you can go on and on. Like, and that's the thing. To consider him to say he's not even Paul Pierce to say he's not even in his top 10. Like, come on, are you kidding me? That is the definition of a top 5 time. Sorry. Back to that. Sorry, top 5 player. He's not in his top 5. That's the definition of a top 5 player. Who do you take out for LeBron? James Harden? You put James Harden in there or something? Like, it doesn't make any sense. You're talking about one of the greatest scorers in NBA history, and you're not including him in your top 5.
Man, this is
because you saw The Last Dance, the documentary. That was your 2019. You included him in your top 5, and then you made it. Yeah, 2019 he had him in his top 5, and now he doesn't.
He made it seem like people who didn't put LeBron in the top 5 were crazy, and then he turns around talk like.
That's what I mean. That's putting your foot in your mouth.
Classic Paul Pierce for you, though.
You know what Paul Pierce is? I'll tell you what Paul Pierce is. He's the GOAT of clickbait. That's what it is. He got me. Congratulations. Right. Move on to the next.
You're right.
What is wrong with Paul Pierce?
I bet if you ask Paul Pierce to list his top 5, he's gonna be in there. In
4
his
times.
Top 5.
4 times. And Anton Walker, number 5. Oops, never mind. Too soon.
I know we talked about this before, but I just want one thing, and I want to is Damian Lillard a top 5 player in the NBA right now?
Yes.
Right now, yes.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
You know,
right now he is.
The question was right now.
Yeah, right now. That's the thing. You know, I have people that are saying he's like, there's people that were saying that he's the best player in the NBA right now. I mean, I don't think he's the best player in the NBA right now.
No,
he's definitely top 5, for sure.
Top 3.
He's earned it.
Top 3.
He's earned that right.
Yeah, he's definitely earned that right to be a top 5 player, especially the way he's played at the end of the bubble to help them. Doesn't matter about his playoff successes or not, or what Skip Bayless says. The fact of the matter is that Dame Lillard is a top 5 player in the NBA. He lifts his team when he needs to, You know, he stayed with his team. He's been with the Portland Trailblazers. He wants to win a championship with the Trailblazers. He makes other players around him better. And just to touch on what Carmelo said, I know you don't like Carmelo, and you know you don't think he's a little bit overrated and stuff. But he said he's the best player that he's ever played with.
That he's played with, yeah.
That he's played with in the NBA, and I mean that's not really saying much in terms of the fact that he hasn't played with a lot of superstars, but to consider him, he said, and I quote, "I've never played with someone who lifted his team on the court with his play and as a leader. He genuinely cares about his teammates. What he's been able to do is amazing. He's the top guy I've played with." And for somebody to say that, who's Carmelo Anthony, who's you know, an umpteen,
been in the league for a long time,
an umpteen-time All-Star. He's played on U.S. Olympic teams, all that stuff. That's huge for somebody to be saying that. But everybody's starting to get behind Lillard because they're seeing it. LeBron James, all these guys. The players know what Dame Lillard's about. And I definitely think he's a top 5 player. Hands down.
Yep. Agreed. I'm not going to argue that.
Yeah. I agree too. He's definitely a top 5 player.
He's fun to watch
right now.
He's fun to watch.
He is
for sure.
He is.
And in all honesty, I mean, I want to see LeBron do well, but I kind of hope that the Blazers actually knock him off, just so they can shut up. Dame Lillard can shut up his haters, and
I can't. I have the Lakers in 6, so I can't.
Well, sorry, but I mean, I had the Lakers too. I had the Lakers 2 and 6, but still, I hope that they he breaks my the bracket there and puts them in. I sincerely hope they do that.
All right.
I have the Lakers in 7, but I don't mind switching to Blazers in 2.
You can't switch. You can't.
There's no switching here, eh?
There's no switching, Paul Pierce. Relax.
Whoa. I'm offended by that now.
Now, what documentary did you watch to change your mind?
The Paul Pierce one.
Yeah.
Space Jam.
So, switching series here. We'll go out to the East now. We'll go with the Raptors versus the Nets. You know, the Raptors are who we thought they were. Like, they're going to be they're the team that we thought they were. They're not. They're a grinded out team. They're going to battle you. They're going to play hard defense, and we've seen that through the first 2 games. You guys, what do you guys see out of the Raptors so far that's like jumped out at you?
I don't think anything has jumped out on me because, to your point, they are who we thought they were, right? But I think the depth, the balance that this team has, you know, up to as we record this today, you cannot just ISO on, if you're the other team. You can't just ISO on one guy and hope that everybody else makes shots, because listen, one night is Powell, Ibaka, Lowry, Siakam, and I know people are on Siakam's case. He'll be fine, trust me. Like, people want Siakam to go off for 40 a night. They don't have to have Siakam go off for 40 a night. No. If he gives you 19, 20, 22, you're cool. You look it down the box score, and the box score doesn't usually tell the entire story, but it's the balance that this team has. Shout out to Brooklyn, though. They are a pesky team. It's that fly that you can't get rid of in your room, that you just keep on swatting, that just keep on coming back and back. They're well coached by Jacques Vaughn and whatnot, and that entire staff, and Joe Harris and LeVert, and my goodness, and the other guy who has 2 names that I can't pronounce it. I've been practicing for like 2 days, but I can't do it.
TLC?
No, man, the other dude. Anyways, the point is, they're giving the Raptors a run for the money, but at the end of the day, when you're looking at it from a grand scheme of things, the one thing that I'm always so impressed with the Raps is the sense of calm. No matter whether they're up 15 or you know, they get their lead,
they never panic,
8 or whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. It just, like, literally, like, that's why they call him Steady Freddy. He's just cool. Don't worry about it. There is no sense of, my God, here we go again, right? That sense was 4, 5, 6 years ago, right? Right now, this team is like, we know what we can hang our hat on, and that's our D. And even when that D is not playing as good as we expect them to, because remember, now we're spoiled. Now we expect this team to do things consistently on a day in and day out. But this is the playoffs, right? Nobody's going to roll over and play dead. Again, nothing surprises me. And like I said to you guys the other day, this is the calmest I've ever been. Like on game one, they were up 33, and then they were up only 6, and they ended up winning by 17 or whatever the case is, whatever, I don't remember. There was no, like, Nick Nurse just like, okay, call timeout. I think Nick Nurse is the only guy who stresses out. But it doesn't resonate on his team, right? He'll work the refs and he lets his guys do his thing, and that's it. Raps are looking good right now, but again, Brooklyn's no rollover. There's no disrespect, but the Raps are the better team so far, and as people expect them to be, and the beat goes on.
Yeah, shout out to the Raps. They're up 2 on the Nets. I mean, the first game, it was kind of a blowout in the first half, and then and then the Nets came and cut it down to. Did they cut it down to 4 at one point?
6.
Or
yeah,
6.
It was 6.
They cut it down to 6, but as you said, there's no. It's the calmest I've ever been watching this team play. They're not hitting the panic button. Shout out to Steady Freddy when he has a ball in his hands. You know, the team is just calm. They'll play off him, and he gets the shots up when it's needed,
Right.
the most. Shout out to the Nets though. They made their adjustments today, which was expected. They played a good game. They played really a really good game. They played good D. They were making shots. I mean, the Raptors had I'd say a little bit of an off game. They were missing wide open looks. It just wasn't going for them. They were a little bit shabby on the defense, but they held it together. And they came back in the fourth quarter there, and they once they started leading, they just picked it up, and ended up winning that game by 5. I mean, it's gonna be a good series. The game 3 won't be as game 2 as we saw today. Obviously, Nick Nurse, they're gonna watch the video. They're going to make adjustments. It was just an off game, and the Raptors have that off game at some. They always have.
Everybody does. Yep.
One off game. Yeah, but shout out to the Raps.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I think that there's not really much to worry about. I think that the first 3 quarters, yeah, the Nets played well, but I mean, the Raptors weren't going to dominate every game, every quarter. It's not possible. The basketball is a game of runs. Eventually teams are going to get on runs. You know what I mean? So the Raptors did it multiple times in that game where they went on runs, and the Nets just keep fighting back. And that goes to their tenacity, and the Bucks not willing, like you said, it's like swatting a fly. You don't want to – they keep coming back at you, and that's what the Nets were doing. Karis LeVert didn't really have a great game today. He was 5 for 22 from the field. But the Raptors really stopped him in terms of at least scoring from them, but the other guys kept scoring. I believe this is the first time they've been under 100 in the bubble. The Raptors, they've held a team under 100. I could be wrong, but I'm not 100% sure. But Fred VanVleet, can I pick up the phone right now and tell Masai and MLSC to pull the Brinks truck up? To pull the Brinks truck up.
I'm looking for my debit card right now.
Literally,
how much I have.
I'm telling you, we gotta start a GoFundMe or something, because man, the guy hits shot. Man, he hits shots like nothing, like clutch shots. He's the guy when you need big buckets. He's there. Well, he had 11 points at one point where he was on an 11-0 run by himself. Yeah. You know, he's averaging 27 points for the first 2 games. Over 10 assists, he's averaging a double-double, 10 and a half assists per game for the first 2 games. And like you said, if he's not playing, somebody else is stepping up. So Lowry didn't, they're not hitting shots, or Ibaka's not hitting shots. Siakam went a little cold in the second half. But Fred VanVleet was there to step up and take those shots and hit those buckets when he needed to. It's kind of like what he had to do when he came back after like Freddie Jr. was born, where he came back and started hitting those shots, and he was hitting clutch shots, clutch three-pointers, the shots that the Raptors needed.
Yeah.
Shout out to Norm as well. Norm went on a little run there when they really needed it.
No, and Norm stepped up huge today. He went
Playoff Norm.
Exactly. He went back after his first game. He didn't have a really great first game, and he went back and he looked at things that he needed to do, and you saw him attack the rim a little bit more. They also opened him up for a lot of three-point shots off screens, double screens, stuff like that, and he was able to hit open shots. And that's what the Raptors needed, because the first half they were missing everything that was open. Like they were just, and I don't think the Nets played horrible. They didn't play horrible, obviously. They didn't play bad. No. I think the Raptors kept that game close by missing open shots. I think it would have been a lot. And
free throws too.
Yeah, free throws too.
Both teams. Yeah.
Right? You can't. Yeah. Free throws are huge in this game, and you went 67%, 19 for 28 from the free throw line.
They got to do better, man.
Which is rare.
You can't be doing that. If you want to be an NBA championship team, you don't want to be LeBron coming down the stretch down one, trying to close the game and missing two, right? So you want to be that guy that's going to close out the game, and that's what they've been able to do. So I don't think there's anything to worry about for the Raptors. I think they still can end this in 4. I think that if KD and Kyrie are there, that's a different topic that we're having, different discussion that we're having. That's a top 5 team in Brooklyn with the way they play defense, the way Jacques Vaughn has them playing. Yeah, it's a different story. But the way it is right now, Joe Harris left the bubble. He's more than likely out for the playoffs unless they get to 6 and 7, which we don't see. I don't see that happening. So that's another key blow for the Nets, especially 3-point shooting.
Yeah, I believe is Joe Harris. Unfortunately, it's a family emergency.
Yeah.
So hopefully everything is okay with him. That's beyond basketball, right?
Yes.
That's beyond anything else. So
of course,
he's a key component of that team. And if he is gone for either significant amount of time, depending on how long his series is, and we don't expect it to be that long. However, keeping it to the human element, hopefully everything's okay. So. I like him. I like watching him play. So,
without him, that's a huge loss for them. Obviously, he's one of their scorers. He's good at knocking down the 3 ball too.
Yeah.
But I just want to throw this quick.
Number 1 in the league.
Yeah. I just want to throw this quick stats at you. The Raptors have won the last 35 of their last 40 games. How about that?
Wow.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Hey, back to back.
You never know, right? It's 2020.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sticking out east, we'll stick with another upset. The Magic upset the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't think anybody saw this one coming, but
nope.
The Magic played really well. I think they played really well in that game, and they may have showed the NBA some.
They showed up the Bucks.
Yeah, they showed up the Bucks, but they showed things that other teams can hone on in the next series if the Bucks do get past the Magic.
When?
Right? When? Yeah, when? I mean,
I think that. Listen, I think the Bucks, like the Lakers, are sort of still not in that playoff, bubble, which is, depending on which way you want to look at it, could be or concerning or not. Do I think they're in trouble? Nah, they'll be fine, man. They have one of the best players in the world. Everybody else around him has to step up as usual. That's the Bucks' problem, right? I'm never concerned about what the Greek Freak is going to do. If I'm a Bucks fan, I'm always concerned about what everybody else is going to do. But like I said on the previous episode, at the end of the day, their talent is superior than Orlando's talent. What Orlando's giving you right now and what they showed you is they're going to fight. They're going to fight for every possession, every rebound, every loose ball, right? And they're just going to try
Because
to
they
get
ain't
it
got
done.
nothing to
So,
lose.
right, they have nothing to lose. They know they're going to lose a series. They're not going to tell you that, but they know they're going to lose a series. Everybody else knows they're going to lose a series. So why not just play like nobody gives a crap anyway? Because if you're expected to lose, you literally have nothing to lose, right? So this is what people are expecting you to do. And I think that the Bucks sort of laid down for a bit, laid the guard down, and when they looked up on the scoreboard, they're like, "Oh, wait, what?
We're
Right?
down. Yeah.
What do we got to do?" And they could
Yeah.
not ever get that engine going, right? Outside of Giannis Antetokounmpo, everybody else has got to step up in that team. They should be okay, but if the Orlando Magic are up 2-0 on the Milwaukee Bucks,
Ooh.
I'm going to change my tune. I don't give a what I said to you when we did our playoff preview. It's on YouTube, by the way. I think that there's going to be definitely concern. I don't expect us to have this conversation about the Bucks being down 2-0 at any point in this series, but look out.
I mean, I don't see the Bucks going down.
I'm not worried though. I'm
2-0
just saying.
to the Magic, but hey, again, it's 2020. Anything can happen. I was surprised to see the how the Magic were playing yesterday in that game. I think Bucks they're just another like the Lakers. They're still in regular season mode.
Yeah.
They didn't come prepared for the playoffs when the Magic did, because as you mentioned earlier, they ain't got nothing to lose. So they're gonna go out there, they're gonna play hard, they're gonna leave it all on the floor, and
Right.
that's what you see happened yesterday. Caught the Bucks off guard, and by the time they're like, whoa, what's going on here? It was too late. The game was over, and they lost by 12. But I mean, if I'm a Bucks fan, I wouldn't be.
Which
too
you're
worried.
not, right? For the record.
Which no, for the record,
Okay.
definitely not. I wouldn't be too worried. I mean, I'll be more concerned if I was a Laker fan.
Come on. Well, in fairness, the Lakers are a better opponent than what the Bucks have in the match.
The Blazers are a better opponent than
the Blazers.
Than the
Yeah,
Magic.
right.
As I mentioned before, the Blazers, they're not an 8th seed. But yeah, back to Bucks and Magic. Good for the Magic. Good for them. But I mean, I'm not too surprised, because that's the same thing they did to the Raptors last year. I mean, the score difference was a lot. The Raptors lost that game, but definitely the Magic won the game to the Bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Magic played the way a lot of teams probably should play against the Bucks. They dared the Bucks and Giannis and all those guys to shoot threes. They clogged up the paint. They didn't allow them to just wheel and deal and go in and kick out, because the Bucks are Giannis is a guy that drives and kicks. If he can't get a layup, he drives and kicks to his 3-point shooters. They hit shots. But what Magic did was maybe they laid down the blueprint. That's the word I was looking for earlier. Laid down the blueprint for the NBA on how to beat the Bucks. But one thing I say with the Bucks is they kind of remind me of the Raptors of the last few years when they had DeMar DeRozan, and they're a team that might not be able to get over that hump. They might need to make a change before they get over that hump. They kind of remind me of that in terms of how the way they play the game and the last few years. They've now lost 5 straight playoff games, 4 straight to the Raptors, and now one to the Magic. But is there a seed of doubt in the Bucks' head right now?
I think that all good teams that go through that, period of we're close but, right? And you see it in every sport, right? The Chiefs had it for years before they won an NFL, the Super Bowl. The Tampa Bay Lightning went through it last year with the Columbus Blue Jackets, right? You can go on and on and on, right? The Braves for years were that team in baseball in the 90s, for those people who remember, where had great teams, and then it's like one World Series. Now, are the Bucks that team? If the Bucks are that team, Mark, I'm really concerned, because the one guy who is most valuable is going to be a free agent 2 summers from now.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
it's not like, with all due respect, it's not like you can move DeMar DeRozan out and move Kawhi in. If Giannis leaves,
that's it for them.
Giannis leaves.
Yeah.
LeBron's not coming. Paul George is not coming. Kawhi is not going to Milwaukee.
Maybe
right?
Danny Green will go.
I mean, you never know with you never know with Paul George. He might ask for a trade and go to Milwaukee. You never know. He just flopped. He just jumped ship.
If he says he wants to go to Milwaukee, he'll probably end up in, I don't know, in LA or something, or with the Lakers.
Let me tell you this.
He's going to join forces with Danny Green in Milwaukee. You heard it here first. Paul George.
Oh my God.
let me tell you the problem with the Bucks. The problem with the Bucks is it's Middleton and Bledsoe. These guys got to be better. They got to play better. They got to make shots. They got to play better defense. We saw that the Raptors exposed that last season when they played them in the finals. But
you're bang on about Middleton, though.
Sorry?
You're bang on about Middleton. Bang on.
Yeah.
Just looking at his stats, 4 of 12, 16 points, 14 points. That's not going to get it done.
No. These are the guys that are they're supposed to be Giannis's right hand, right? Mm-hmm. When he drives in the paint and the paint isn't open, when they lock down the paint for Giannis, he kicks it out to them, and they're the ones that are gonna have to be making those buckets and getting those points. But I mean, they're not doing such a good job right now, and they need to be better. And it was the same thing last season with the Raptors. They didn't perform.
I have one thing to say. You're going to take back your Markelle Fultz is a
pick. I was waiting for it. If not you, I was going to say it.
I know they haven't heard it yet on our YouTube page yet. It'll be up there, but eventually,
check it out, though.
Yeah, you got to definitely check that out on our YouTube page. But
Markelle Fultz definitely was trying to show me up in that game. Eh?
I personally sent him a clip of that.
I think you did.
And he went off. He went Dame time on you guys. He went Dame time on you.
Yeah.
At one point.
Good for him, though. Good for the kid.
He showed it to the whole Magic team.
At one point, I checked the game stats, and he had more points than all the players on the court. Like, what?
He outscored Middleton.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to
a
him,
max
though.
guy. Just saying. I'm not going to tie money to a guy's stats, but facts are facts, boys. Yep.
So you're saying Bucks should get Fultz to replace Middleton?
I don't know if we'll go that far, but
or Giannis.
Yeah. That's the new.
I hear Toronto's nice in August.
Yep.
That's what I heard too.
Yeah, I'm just saying that. I'm not saying anything to a particular player.
There's a particular spot for him on the Danforth, just ready and waiting for him.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Yeah, me either. I don't know. But anyways.
Those feta fries, they're good here in Toronto.
Yep, definitely.
Yep, just saying.
Yep.
All right, well, thanks for listening to another episode of the Basketball Lab podcast. Thanks for joining us this week on the Basketball Lab podcast. Make sure to follow us on our social media. You could follow us on Instagram at @the_basketball lab, on Twitter at @the_bball_lab. You could also subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Basketball Lab, and you could find us on iTunes and Spotify.